They're the faces of Israel's far right, at the centre of power in Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet. Ministers Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich are never far from controversy.
We must not end this war without absolute victory, which means occupation, settlement.
And they haven't gone unnoticed in Australia.
They are the most extreme proponents of the unlawful and violent settlement enterprise.
Now, alongside the UK, Canada, New Zealand and Norway, Australia has slapped financial sanctions and travel bans on both.
For their role in serious human rights violations and abuses relating to Israeli settler violence in the West Bank.
And what the government calls the rampant construction of Jewish settlements in the Palestinian territory.
Mr. Smotrich said, "There is no such thing as a Palestinian nation." Their own words condemn them.
Israel's reacted with fury.
It is outrageous.
As has its most staunch and powerful ally. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio issuing a statement saying, "We remind our partners not to forget who the real enemy is." Shadow Foreign Affairs Minister Michaelia Cash echoing those concerns. The sanctioning of democratically elected officials of a key ally is a serious development, she said, and accused the government of targeting the Israeli government rather than Hamas.
We have already applied sanctions in relation to Hamas.
Others want tougher action on Israel.
We need to see sanctions on Prime Minister Netanyahu and, in fact, his entire cabinet.
The Prime Minister has shrugged off US criticism as predictable, but this is unprecedented action to take against a country Australia calls a friend. Sanctions are usually reserved for hostile nations like Russia and Iran. The government is clearly frustrated with Israel and fears its actions in Gaza and the West Bank are extinguishing the prospect of a two-state solution.
Sometimes friends have to be clear with each other. We've been clear with the Israeli government about our concerns.
Another friend might seek an explanation at next week's G7 summit in Canada. Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir has made a biblical comparison, saying that the Jews survived the persecution of the Egyptian pharaohs and will endure through the restrictions imposed by Keir Starmer's government, making no specific mention of the Australians. While the Finance Minister, Bezalel Smotrich, who has a very influential role in the government, has taken what appears to be a retaliatory step. He's removing the waiver that allows Israeli banks to transfer money with Palestinian banks in the West Bank, and this will particularly affect the Palestinian Authority. He says this is a move in response to what he called the delegitimization campaign waged by the Palestinian Authority against the Israeli government. So it will have major implications for Palestinians and their institutions. And this is all occurring as the United States, the United States ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, says that the US no longer fully supports a two-state solution to this conflict. So it suggests that the Israeli government's efforts to undermine the viability of a future Palestinian state have, at least in the eyes of the US, been partially successful.